So look, bro, just finished watching the fight. Obviously, everybody is pretty shocked and surprised about how he worked, how Lamont Roach worked with Tank Davis. I mean, shoot, I had it to where I'm thinking Lamont Roach would get knocked out because no one was sure if he could take the power. He had the style, he had the tools, but it was about whether or not he could take the power and if he could hold on when Tank Davis started to come at pause, but in the middle rounds like he normally does. But the thing about Lamont Roach, the reason why his game plan was so solid was because he did what there's a sparring video. His name is Elijah Pierce. Elijah Pierce and Tank fought, and when I seen that sparring video a long time ago, I was like, yo, this is the reason why he's not going to fight, some of those more athletic, bigger dudes like a Shakur or a Devin, very explosive, very athletic guys. Because if you fight him tall, if you are not tall, but if you fight him big, you smother his power. Smothering a power puncher's power is the key. The way that power punchers catch you is if you're putting too much weight on that front foot and they pull back and catch you. If they can make room for their big punches, but in this fight, Lamont Roach was taking the initiative in the clinch, and he was leading the clinch range exchanges. And when Tank tried to hold on, he worked the body like you're supposed to. He let those very, very short shots and punched on Tank's exit angles like he was supposed to. Like when Tank would try to exit out, he would follow him with a right hand and catch him on the way out. Because when Tank would try to exit out, he'll exit out and get to his angle and stop, but he wouldn't necessarily be responsible with keeping his hands up like he should. So he brought those tight right hands, Lamont Roach did. And then when he would Tank Davis cycled through all of his looks, he set up the straight left hand, and sometimes it landed, but at the same time, Lamont Roach kept that right glove up and he turned it inside. Or at first he was turning inside, but he couldn't find a good look for a counter on the inside. So then he started doing what you should do against southpaws, and he started using his kickstand footwork, and he started leaning outside. And when he was leaning outside, he's coming with his cross right hand counter over the top. You know what I mean? Which is another great counter that you should use, but it's hard to time someone who's as explosive and as athletic as a Tank Davis is. And the thing that Lamont Roach was able to do was either maintain the distance to be too far away from Tank for him to work normally, or he was too close and he smothered Tank Davis with his hands up, catch and shoot on the inside. You know what I mean? But the biggest surprise that everyone had was like, if you listen to the commentary, right? Abner Mares, scary ass, was like, Lamont, don't get too greedy. Be careful. And Lamont Roach is fully in rhythm. He's catching the punches. He's tasted the power. He didn't get his jaw spent like that. All the punches that he did take, he was braced for. He never overcompensated and put too much weight either way on either foot. You know what I mean? He was very balanced and he fought big. You know what I mean? He fought strong. And when he did come back with his shots, there were times where he had even rocked Tank. There was a few punches that I was like, oh, nah, if he lands this, like he tried to hit him with the lock jab where, Tank, he tried to come with that. I think it was with that, either the left hand. No, it was the right hook. He tried to come around with the right hook and he just boom, like try to turn over the lock jab. Lamont Roach did. And it's certain punches like that where, you know what I mean? Those punches are knockout punches. They're very sneaky punches. They're veteran tactics. But Lamont, he pulled out his entire arsenal with both hands and gave Tank Davis a lot of issues. Now, Tank Davis, look, I watched the post-fight conference and everything like that. Tank Davis was like, yeah, I just got my hair did. I just got my hair done. I had grease in my hair. So that's why I took that knee I couldn't see. But remember, a punch landed and he took a knee that didn't count it as a knockdown. Now, anytime I've seen a fighter look for some sort of a timeout or something like that, you'll see him, he'll touch his glove to the canvas. I mean, maybe taking a knee makes sense, but it looked like the way he turned away from, he turned away, took a knee, and then it was kind of a weird delayed reaction. It was kind of weird, you know what I mean, that they didn't call it how they should have. But it's even worse because if that knockdown gets called, Lamont Roach wins the fight. You know what I'm saying? But Lamont Roach, he fought with the correct game plan of fighting Tank Davis strong, holding this ground in the middle of the ring. He wasn't really dancing much. You know what I mean? He was old school, catch and shoot on the inside. That inside work gets complicated, and his style, normally he would just swing on some of these dudes to close the gap. But in his case, he had very, very sharp, tight work. used the jab, touched with it, you know what I mean, followed him out with it with a jab. You know, he had shown that in this case, that if Tank Davis can't get one of those three looks to land right, and they don't rock you, he'll run out of options, right? So the straight left hand didn't land for Tank Davis, like it didn't have the effect that he wanted to have, right? So then he switches to the overhand left, or the counter left hook, like he called Rolly with. He went to that look, right? That look didn't give him the success he was looking for. In between that, there was body work, there was jabs, you know what I mean? There was defense. But as far as the big looks, right, that he's looking for, the setups he's looking to get to those big three, right? The third one being the uppercut. Now, Lamont Roach did a very good job of taking away that left uppercut, because when he kept that right hand up, he was never on the line. He smothered it. He put his body in a position that smothered the leverage and the power of the left uppercut. And at the end of the fight, towards, I think it was round 11 and 12 or 10, 11, 12, Tank Davis started looking for that setup. He tried to get Lamont Roach to land on it, but mind you, the entire time, and I think ultimately this is what had the biggest effect, was the fact that Lamont Roach went to the body on Tank with shovel hooks the way that you're supposed to. He came in tight. He worked them shovel hooks in tight. And even though they did trade body punches, you know what I mean? Tank's body punches straight a little bit lower, because he doesn't really punch to the body that much. He's not a prolific body puncher, and he doesn't really have a very, very, like because of the nature of his game being so explosive, his inside work is not as crispy, right? He loads up a lot on his shots. It's not as crispy as some of the other fighters that do operate well on the inside, right? Lamont Roach, his game plan of deciding to operate on the inside and keep it crisp, even to the body, was a smart move. Now, what Tank did really well was land power punches, right? Because that's what he does. He keeps his high guard up. If you throw a jab, he snaps a straight left hand right back out. Some of them bitches did land, you know what I mean? The punch stats were very close. The Tank, he did go to the body. He did counter punch, but it was just the fact that the range and the distance control and the distance management of a Lamont Roach was very, very good. He almost got the job done. So, credit to him for I think that it's important to give him credit for coming in with the correct game plan, sticking to the game plan, getting heated with Tank, right? Not being afraid to step to him and get heated with him. But also, we got to give credit to Tank Davis, because even with the type of style he was dealing with, where his stuff wasn't necessarily working, he didn't give up on his game plan either, which is the reason why when he did show different types of setups, he was able to be successful with landing some of those power punches. Now, what I will say is this, and this is key. I think that Tank is not a fan of, body work. When he was posturing in some of those ways where he had his hands down, he was leaning a little bit over. Yes, he's looking for the counter punch, but at the same time, he was looking to really protect that body, because that body work was oppressive from Lamont Roach. It was the way that it's supposed to be. When you throw body shots on the inside, you're supposed to throw them with the right timing, right? You want to catch him not when he's braced, but when he's soft. It makes no sense for you to waste time, punching elbows and stuff like that. So him being on the inside and throwing body shots with conviction, right? It just shows why in this style, it shows why a Tank Davis would not want to put up with and deal with a Shakur Stevenson, who has very good body work. You know what I mean? He doesn't have much power punching to the chin because of his style of punching. He doesn't load up on punches. Right? But when he does get to the body, when he brings his work to the body, he puts a lot of leverage on those shots, and he has a lot of accuracy, and he has great timing. Those things will be problematic for Tank Davis. Devin Haney is the same with his body work. You know what I mean? Now, he's 140, he's headed towards 147. So you're not going to see them fight most likely, but a Shakur Stevenson, a Keyshawn Davis, though they are very prolific body punchers, and they don't really get credit for that type of stuff. They don't get credit for their inside work. This fight told more of a story as to what we've been seeing as far as the out of the ring moves from Gervonta Davis. And it showed also that if you can deal with the power, right, and not let it nerve you, and get off the line the way that you're supposed to, and you're not afraid to get into your rhythm the way Lamont Roach was, you can have a lot of success and make Tank Davis uncomfortable. The power punches, obviously, throughout the early rounds, he started fast. He landed power punches. Those things are definitely what won Tank the fight. Lamont came on a little bit later on in the middle rounds. Towards the late rounds, he was in much more control. But by then, you know what I mean? It was really anyone's fight. And I think that in the rematch, Lamont would be a lot more comfortable. Because I think that Tank's style is a lot less adaptable than Lamont Roach's style. And what I mean is, if he can't get to those looks, if he can't dart around and land those punches and be explosive and athletic, then I don't know if his boxing ability would carry him through, especially while he's absorbing punishment the way that he was. Those were not thudding, you know, some of them were, but those were not all thudding power punches. They were stinging blows. They were sharp punches, and those punches, you know, especially to the body, they add up, and they, you know, you feel them, especially because they're landing on you while you're trying to throw at them. So in the next fight, if they were to rematch, or it depending on who Tank fights next, because he said he was going to call somebody out, but there was no call out this time. So, you know, I don't know if he's going to fight anyone else, or if he's just going to take the L, or not take the L, but just take the draw and retire. You know what I mean? I have no idea. But I think that this fight was very telling. And I think that if they rematch, it'll be one hell of a fight again because of the styles. And I think that Lamont Roach would correct a lot of what he had done incorrectly in this fight. Probably come on a little stronger sooner because he has a bit of an idea of what he's dealing with. And if Tank goes back to trying to land those the big three, I mean, it's going to be a long night. I'm not going to lie. He's going to have trouble because now you got a guy who's a rhythm fighter, which is some of the more dangerous fighters because they throw punches with both hands. They have good defense. They just have to find that rhythm, you know? So Tank relies heavily on psyching his opponent out and making him run into a punch out of just, you know, catching him when he's frozen and just punching him as hard as he can, kind of like Canelo does, right? But when you get a guy who really can box, you have trouble, especially if he can box strong. So, you know, we'll just have to see what his next move is. Hell of a performance from both fighters. Tank came on strong early. That's what got him the majority draw, or the majority. That's what got him. That's why it was a draw instead of him losing. He came on strong early. The knockdown situation was controversial. I don't know if you should just be able to voluntarily take a knee like that because you got grease in your hair after a punch lands, bro. You know what I mean? People wipe their, you know, I mean, I get it. Look, grease, conditioner, soap, whatever. It sucks to have it in your ear or in your eyes and shit like that. It does. It sucks, bro. But, you know, this is a boxing match with rules. So I know you're Tank Davis, but that doesn't mean you get special treatment and you're above the game. We'll see what the future holds for Dog and who he fights next. And I mean, this fight, it ultimately made me decide I'm going to continue to follow Lamont Roach's career because shit, you got Gary Anton Russell who's a champion at 140. Dude said that he might go up to 140 if he doesn't get the rematch at 135. I wonder who he could fight next. You know, we'll see what the future holds, but I think that with his boxing ability, he's a problem for just about anybody. Lamont Roach is. Even if he doesn't get the Tank rematch again, I think that he could get a belt. You never know. Could be a Keyshawn fight. You never know, man. So with that being said, catch you on the next video. This one was a bit long-winded. But yeah, I'll catch you on the next video, man. I think the next... Man, I got to look at the schedule. I'm waiting for May because Devin Haney and them is coming back. But yeah, I'll catch you next video, man. I'm gone.